to the last clue in the Where is Kelsey contest. So here's the clue right up front, and then I have a special guest. So the clue is, if you go to this great book, Where Am I Wearing, and you go to the, I'm not even sure what chapter it is. Let's see, what chapter is it? It is part 1. It's the place where my t-shirt was made. That is the country you need to guess. So guess, and then you'll be entered for a chance to win an HD flip cam and a host of Frommer's guidebooks. So you can make a cool video of you and your brother in front of a fireplace with stockings hung with care or something. What is it?
With care.
With her children? By children with care?
By children with care.
Okay.
By the chimney.
That's
By the
how
chimney with care. By the chimney with care.
Okay, that's how they were hung. So anyhow, that's the clue. Part 1 of the book. Actually, I will hook you up with the first chapter of the book. So all you have to do is click on the link, and you can find out. It'll say in that sample where my t-shirt was made, and then you'll know the answer, and then you can guess, and then you'll just win all sorts of great stuff. So anyhow, let's get to the special guest. This is Kyle. Welcome to whatever this is called.
Good seeing you,
I have no idea. So Kyle, you've heard about him in several of the clues. For instance, he was one playing soccer. I believe last week it was the soccer clue. He was playing soccer with the village kids.
I got schooled by a bunch of little village children.
Yes, he was schooled by them. And also, he was the one that got malaria. I think that was one of the clues too, right?
Yes, I believe it was.
So I thought we'd talk about, I never had malaria, and but Kyle has. He's not quite as immune to the jungle viruses, or that's not even a virus.
No.
He has his PhD, so he knows this kind of thing. So what is
It's a parasitic infection.
Okay, parasitic infection. Sorry. So what does it feel like to have malaria?
Well, at first I didn't know. It was just I'd have fevers on and off, and the fever would go away, and I'd think I was fine. Then over a couple months, or it's probably just a month, I noticed that going on and off, and I'd think I can go to the doctor. The next day I'd feel fine. And then I actually went on a trip, as you know, to France to a conference. And I got there and I was like, whoa, something is wrong. And that's when it really hit me. And I just had really, really high fever, shakes, headaches, and then just general unwellness.
Yeah. So what was the level of unwellness? I guess I've never really asked before. Were you like, oh my God, I'm going to die?
Well,
death might happen?
At one point I was so hot that I remember dragging myself out of the bed, crawling across the floor, and basically crawling over the edge of a tub and running hot water myself. Because I remember the fever was getting high enough that I knew it was severe and something could go wrong. I needed to cool myself down. But
so
I didn't know how
to...
it was
cold water, not hot water?
It was cold water.
Okay.
It was cold water, but I didn't know how to get a hold of anybody because I was in France. So I just dragged myself there and waited for the people who were at the conference with me to come back from dinner. And at that point in time, 2 of them dragged me out of the tub, and then...
So, wait a second. Were you naked in the tub?
I wasn't completely naked in the tub because I had enough sense at the time to know that, hey, I should probably have some clothes on because people may have to drag me out of this tub. And so they got some basketball shorts on me, drug me down to the elevator because the ambulance would not come pick us up. The ambulance wouldn't come pick us up, and so they drug me downstairs, called a cab, and they drug me to the hospital. And then we had nobody that really spoke French, and so it was a hard time communicating on what the problem was, and it took them about 2 hours to figure out that I had malaria. And at first they thought it was going to be meningitis, and so they did a couple of unsuccessful spinal taps to see if that was the problem. But then when I thought, hey, I was in Honduras 2 months ago, I mentioned that to him, and that kind of led them to, hey, let's take a blood sample and see if he has.
So you were conscious enough to tell them that you were in Honduras?
Yes, at that point I was. Yeah, because they gave me some stuff to reduce the fever. So I was feeling better at that time, but I was still, because it cycled through, and so I was starting to feel better. And
so was there someone there that spoke English?
Just the people that I came with spoke there, and some of the people at the hospital spoke some broken English, but there was serious communication problems.
Do you have any recommendations for someone when they find themselves in a foreign hospital, like in a real bad situation, like you were? Like what would you have done if there wasn't people there with you? They'd have just kept sticking you until they...
I would recommend carrying one of those little handy, translation guides that has like hospital-specific things you can tell them, because it was obvious that something was wrong with me, but I really had no way of relaying to them what the problem was. Mm-hmm. So I used some broken Spanish to speak to people in France.
So you use Spanish to speak to them?
I tried to.
So how do you tell them, what were you saying?
I honestly don't recall. I honestly don't recall. Because I don't even remember first getting to the hospital. It wasn't until after they got the fever down. that I can remember talking with the people in or trying to communicate with them.
So is this something you're gonna hold over my? Because I think
Yeah.
I drugged you to Honduras.
Yeah, he drugged me to Honduras. We just set the place, man.
Oh, I will.
Edit it out.
That's
Well, Kelsey drugged me to this country, not against my will completely, but while I was there, I got a little Montezuma's revenge, and then several months later, I had malaria, obviously.
Yeah. So when we were in this country, which I just slipped up and said, if you still pay attention, oh well, I said it. You can have a chance to win. But when we were in that country, he one day it was like 110 degrees and humid, and he was like a shivering mess of humanity.
It was fairly uncomfortable.
And I had to get the doctor and try to say, my brother, I think he's going to die. And he didn't die that time,
No.
but ended up getting...
So it was just one day of Montezuma's revenge, and I was fine.
So breakfast this morning, we were talking about... we're not out of the woods yet when it comes to tropical diseases.
Yes.
We're talking about Chagas disease, or is that how you pronounce it?
Chagas disease.
Chagas disease.
And when Kelsey and I were freaking ourselves out looking at the host of tropical diseases we could come down to, this was one of them. Kind of a bad one, but you wouldn't notice any symptoms until 10 years later. So we still figured we have like 5 years left before we know if we have Chagas disease or
So
not.
Kyle will probably come out with that
Probably
one.
have it, yeah.
We'll make a follow-up video, maybe
Yes.
at the bedside.
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So, all right. Well, how long are you going to hold this over me? That
Well, I'd say we could stretch at least another 10 years out of this. And if I have another flare-up, that adds another 5.
So you could have another flare-up?
I've had a couple flare-ups. I've had 2 flare-ups of
When was
malaria.
your last one, though? It was a long time ago, though.
It was...
They were close.
2006.
Yeah, 2006, September 2006.
So could you actually have another flare-up?
I could, but it becomes less likely each time because they treat with a medicine that gets it out of your blood and then one that tries to kill it in the liver, and so they get a little more each time. So the 2 that I had, the first flare-up was kind of bad, but I knew what it was, so I could get treated soon enough. The third one was less severe, so I think it gets less and less severe, but there's still a chance.
So what did it feel like when the flare-up came on?
Well, I recognized the fevers right away, and then it's hard to describe, but there's just kind of a general oddness that I remember feeling during malaria that I now associate with malaria if I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that time I was like, aha, I have malaria, and then, hey, somebody, can you swing by the hospital and drop me off there?
Wow. Well, I hope you don't have any more flare-ups because, I feel enough guilt already.
Yeah, I think
so,
you did.
but
I'll try not to.
anything else you want to tell us?
I've got
about
nothing else to
malaria?
add about malaria.
Okay, so we should say that you were on anti-malarial or malarial medication, whatever they call
Yeah,
it.
it was on chloroquine, so it's supposed to prevent it from happening, but some of the
That's how big of a
malaria
wimp he is. He was actually on anti-malarial medication and still got malaria.
Yes, I still contracted it despite
Did I come down with any tropical diseases?
No.
Okay.
That we know of. You still get a
That
chance
we
to
know.
Chagas
I
disease.
still have thanks. All right. All right. Well, that's it. Good luck with the contest. Thank you to our special guest
problem.
all the way from
Pleasure to be
Galveston,
here.
Texas, to be on whatever this is. So good luck. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. This is my brother Kyle.
Good to meet you.
We're just sitting here in front of our hearth, and we're close brothers.
Shit.
And Merry Christmas and
Merry
Happy New
Christmas,
Year.
everyone.